New Orleans historian Perry Young referred to Carnival as the butterfly of winter. That symbol of rebirth is one of many ways the 2026 Rex Parade displays time-honored myths and the magic of renewal. Royal Artist float builders are responsible for the construction.
There can't be a more beautiful symbol of renewal than the cycle of life with the butterfly, the cocoon, the caterpillar, the emergence of a beautiful butterfly and a brief, beautiful life, and then another season and another butterfly.
My favorite float this year is the Easter float. You can't tell the stories of rebirth and renewal without the Christian resurrection. And without the Christian resurrection, you wouldn't have Easter. Without Easter, you wouldn't have Lent. Without Lent, you wouldn't have Ash Wednesday. And without Ash Wednesday, we wouldn't have Fat Tuesday. So the Easter float is just sort of the perfect one to tell this story this year.
In this rowing tableau, there are bound to be some other favorite floats.
I'm particularly fond of the whooping crane float. Many of our floats are illustrating gods and goddesses and stories from deep in history. This one's far more contemporary, and many of our parade goers are going to recognize this bird. The whooping crane was on the verge of extinction. Only a handful of birds left on the whole planet. Its resurrection, its return, its rebirth was really through activities here at the Audubon Institute Species Survival Center.
My other favorite is the phoenix. The phoenix is a legendary bird that bursts into flames and then is reborn out of the ashes. It's also the symbol of the Sigma Alpha Epsilon fraternity, which I'm a member of. So for all of my fraternity brothers out there, come out and enjoy the Phoenix float in the 2026 Rex Parade.
The artistic designer for Rex is Caroline Thomas of Royal Artists.
Virtually all of our artists and our designers and artistic directors were women. And they were magnificent artists. Sanilla Bauer-Alexander, Louis Fisher, Leda Plauché, Alice Peake Reese. And now Caroline Thomas really carries on that tradition in a beautiful way, in a very unique way. Caroline Thomas not only makes beautiful designs, she's a wonderful artist, but she is the only artistic director in Rex history to both design a parade and also to help build it.
Usually once the theme is selected, the design committee will kind of do their separate research, and then we all come together with a list of ideas for floats, and we see which ones kind of overlap, and we kind of get an idea of what the parameters of the theme will be. And then I take that all home, and that's when I do my kind of deep research, and I make a whole thorough outline of the parade with a kind of description of each float and kind of the background of what each float is supposed to represent. We try to overall make it look like something that you would have seen 100 years ago rolling down the streets of New Orleans.
Caroline Thomas also has some favorite floats.
I really love the Persephone float. I remember being in middle school and reading that myth for the first time and really loving it, as I think is often for a lot of kids one of the first Greek myths they learn. Yeah, it was fun to show this kind of dichotomy. The back of the float is all blues and cold and kind of a little scary, with these branches that are also sort of like hands reaching out for her, and the front of the float being all these kind of warm golds and reds and representing kind of spring flowers. And the god of the underworld, Hades, falls in love with her and abducts her. And she is basically forced to spend half the year underground and half the year above ground. And when she's underground, her mother, who is the goddess of spring, keeps the world cold and in a winter state. And when she returns, so does spring.
There's yet another tribute to that season.
Jack in the Green is a tradition out of England that celebrates the coming of spring, a sort of variation on the Green Man. Traditionally, they wear these sort of fringed outfits where, if you're from South Louisiana, look an awful lot like what you might see in Cajun Mardi Gras.
Other floats include the story of Manu and the flood. He is considered the first man of humanity, according to Hinduism, very similar to the biblical story of Noah. There's a brand new title float with papier-mâché figures by noted artist Jonathan Berticelli.
So now we went from 29 floats in the Rex Parade to 30. The new title float is big, it's beautiful, and it is full of Rex symbolism, like owls and oak branches and peacocks and butterflies, and it's just a beautiful way that we can introduce the theme of the Rex Parade each year in this grand fashion.
At Royal Artists, we really try to hold on to some of these traditional materials and techniques. A lot of these have been passed down through generations of Mardi Gras artists. So the majority of our work is still just traditional papier-mâché techniques developed by the Barth brothers back in the 60s. and we take a lot of pride in our carnival flowers.
In addition to the parade, philanthropy has become very much a part of the mission of the Rex organization.
When we came back to New Orleans after Katrina's floods, there was so much that needed to be rebuilt, and nothing more than the school system. Our public schools owed to our students an opportunity to learn and to progress and to reach their full potential. Our investment since that time, not only through the Pro Bono Publico Foundation in raising and investing in those schools, but also through the volunteer work of our members. We've been fully supportive of the rebirth of our school system. The foundation has invested over $16 million since Katrina to assure their success.
For one Rex organization member, this year's Rex Parade holds special meaning.
I'm not only the historian for the organization, but my family is truly a part of its history, going back 5 generations to the late 1800s. What other thing can you do in your daily life where you're carrying on the work of 5 generations before you? So I like to say that there is magic in Carnival. What the Rex organization does is work very hard to preserve that magic, to preserve the Carnival traditions for future generations.
This WYES Carnival Close-Up is brought to you by Plush Appeal, the Mardi Gras spot.